Tech, and right now we're going to be doing a Java tutorial, Java programming. Basically, I'm going to start right from the very basics of Java. I'm going to set this whole entire playlist up as kind of like a lesson you'd find in school almost, and like just different kind of chapters, I guess I can call them. So it's going to start off real basic. If you already know some Java, hang tight, and more advanced stuff will be sure to come. But for this tutorial, I'm going to be using a program. It's free, called Dr. Java. Got it right down there. I know a lot of people like to use Eclipse. I like using Eclipse too, but it's just pretty complicated if you're a beginner to kind of like get used to the interface, because it's like used for a lot of different types of programming. So I'm gonna just do Dr. Java. It's basically just strictly Java. It's got a pretty good compiler, and we'll get started with the very basics. And again, this is totally free for Mac and Windows. So what we're going to first off, you're going to open it. It looks pretty basic and simple. You're going to just go up to File, New Java Class, name your class. I'm going to name it Tutorial. I guess I'm just going to call it Tut. And then make sure you click Include a Main Method, because that's what we're going to be doing right now. So now get rid of all this green crap. Those are just comments. If you're not familiar with coding at all, comments are just code that it's not implemented in your code. It's just what it sounds like. It's a comment on your code. So they're really useful for long programs. So now what we're gonna do right here, just explain this a little bit. A class is actually really complicated. Right now we're just gonna say a class is basically the name of your program, even though it's not it at all. Like it's gonna be basically the folder, I guess. I'll call it for right now. We'll get into classes later. They're really complicated. Not really complicated. I just mean if this is your first Java experience, they're going to be complicated to try and figure out. But right now, you don't need to worry about that. What you need to worry about is your main method, which is right here: public static void main string args. This is basically how you're going to start off most of your programs, with a main method. And you want to come in here to the little bracket, press enter, so you're inside the main method, and basically what you're going to cover right now is printing. So you do system.out.println, and then inside of that you can sort of little parentheses, and inside of that you basically put what you want to print. So I'm going to say hello cloak tech, comma, I love your tutorials, because I know everyone loves them. Now every statement in Java is ended with a semicolon, so semicolon to end that. So now you compile this, choose where you're going to save it, save. I already have one that exists called tutorial. I'm just going to overwrite it. And now once it's compiled, that basically the compiler checks for errors, checks for the logic in your program, and once it's compiled, it'll say compilation complete, and you run it, and basically my program says, hello CloakTech, I love your tutorials. Now let's jazz it up a little bit and delete this section right here, close it off with a semicolon, and say I want to print two lines, system.out.println, and then we want to say I love your tutorials down below it. Pretty simple. And as you can see, I messed up already. Not a statement. You want to know why? Because I put this first parentheses backwards. Now, while I am very good at Java, it's just like everybody makes stupid mistakes when they're typing. That's why the compiler is there, and it's awesome because you need to start doing stuff like that. Like, if you mess up something, the compiler will say like what is messed up, and that's really awesome because that shows you how to fix it. It'll give you the line and where you messed up. That was just a really simple mistake. Now, a lot of times the most simplest mistakes people always forget their semicolons, and that happens all the time. But hello CloakTech, now below it, I love your tutorials. So that is kind of the basic printing in Java. I guess I'll just keep going. To variables. Variables are basically going to be everything to your programming. So there's a lot of different types of variables, but there's three main types of variables we're going to be working with for right now. It's going to be your integers, your doubles, and your strings. They're pretty self-explanatory. ints you have to define with int, and then you call it whatever you want to call it. So it goes int, the name of your variable, and then equals. Let's make it equal 2, because I like the number 2. End everything with a semicolon, and then press enter. Now say we wanted to, for some reason, print whatever is being held in the variable num. Say it's 2, say it's 4, say it's 4000. Come up here, system.out.println parentheses, and then you don't mess with any quotations, just write num, semicolon, compile, run. 2 is now being printed right there. A double is basically any number. An integer, just like the math term, is any whole number. A double is any number. So num2, we can do 2.2 if we want to do that. End it with a semicolon. We're going to say num plus num2 in here. Compile that. It should output 4.2. So 4.2 is now highlighted right there. You see that? Cool. Strings. Strings are words, or strings can be numbered, held in a quotation. These are strings right here. These little red guys. So string s equals quotations. Let's just call it cloak. Now, this is where people mess up a lot of stuff. If you're printing with 2 different types of variables, strings and ints, watch what happens. We're going to say s plus num2. Now, what do you think that's going to print? It's probably, what people would say is it would be cloak, and then it would be plus, maybe a space, maybe no space, and then the number 4.2. Now when you compile that, no semicolon, see, I do that all the time. It'll be cloak to 22.2. Now, we haven't added any spaces, so we can do that with an empty string right there. And now, Java sees these 2 things as strings for some reason, because there's a string right here before it. To stop that, you put parentheses around these 2, and now it'll do that operation first. And now this should output cloak, and then a space, and then 4.2, and that's exactly what it did. So that's all for this tutorial. Just really basic. What am I saying? Just really basic variables and printing. We're gonna get to some more cool stuff in the next tutorial. I'm just trying to keep it short and brief, so thanks.